What did happen at the amusement park? I don't actually know. I can only think of one time and we were both there. I'm not sure what part he's talking about. As far as I could tell, I didn't do anything to upset him. And no, he didn't do anything to me. That's what you're going with, Shiloh? Jeremy, what happened? I'm not going to tell you. It's humiliating, and Shiloh knows I'm not going to say anything. It's why he won't explain. It's why he won't explain either. For several quiet moments, everyone stared at Shiloh and Jeremy in confusion. Shiloh had a similar look on his face before averting his eyes. Sorry, I can't help you with this one, Vaughn. What happened to his bowl cut and glasses? He had a bowl cut? That sent Shiloh into a fit of laughter, while Jeremy shook his head disapprovingly. Through chuckles, Shiloh continued with his best guess. His mom and dad probably decided that back then, and now he picked, or they developed new tastes over the years. As for his glasses, Jeremy wears contacts at school, and when he's out and about, he still wears glasses when he's home or working part-time at his parents' hobby shop. Does he have any hobbies? Reading and crafty handiwork type of stuff. Oh, and archery. Jeremy is really talented. Oh, seriously? That's really cool. Jeremy scoffed at the compliments. He clearly wanted to move on from the conversation. Does he have any siblings? No, Jeremy's an only child. He doesn't have pets either. Why do I find none of that surprising? Although Pran spends almost no time with his own family and a lot with Jeremy's, it's kind of like sibling relationship, I think. Don't bring Pran into this awful thing. Okay. What are his parents like? They're nice and optimistic. They work really hard. They're nice and optimistic. They work really hard, but they can be smothering, sort of, and usually embarrass Jeremy. Jeremy seemed unenthused by Shiloh's answer. What's his full name? Jeremy Marion King. Isn't that neat? It is a neat name, I will admit. Why do you even want to know that? Are you planning on stealing my identity? That got a laugh out of you. Jeremy sighed. You can have it. Okay. Can I get his birthday and the last 4 digits of his social security number? Can I get his phone number and his address? How tall is he? 5'5". He's kinda short. When's his birthday? May 4th. He's a Taurus. Jeremy refused to comment on that. Instead, he rolled his eyes. It's pretty cool that Shiloh knows his birthday. Is he doing well in school? Yeah, Nate is still doing the best, but Jeremy gets respectable scores. Or, unless by doing well you mean to ask if he's having a good time or making friends. Then in that case, no, he's not. Well, at least Shiloh's honest. You weren't sure how to respond to that all. Glancing back at Jeremy, he rolled his eyes. I'm not going to ask for his number or if he's signal. That's inappropriate. That's everything I could think of. Cool. Thanks for asking. Cove, do you have any other questions? Do you have any questions for Jeremy? Stunned, it took Cove a moment to recover from being put on the spot. But ultimately, his eyes shifted from Shiloh's and locked with Jeremy's. They remained like that long enough that it was as if they could speak telepathically. Alright, yeah, I have a question, but Shiloh can't answer. Fine, ask me. Let's get it over with. What do you think of me? Even if you don't think I'm tough or something, do you still feel like I'm stupid and wrong about everything? A crack formed in Jeremy's lackadaisical expression. His barely open eyes lifted a little more, but he still spoke flatly. My opinion on stuff is basically the least important thing you could ever worry about. It's pointless. Well, I'm still asking, so... Cove, right? That's your name? Cove nodded. There was a tint of pink on his cheeks as he bashfully rubbed his arm. Okay, Cove, you seem like a guy who cares a lot about things that don't matter. It sounds pretty dumb to me. I outgrew that years ago. And being as soft as you act, it isn't something that I would ever do, basically. But you know what the absolute dumbest thing really is? Cove shook his head with creased eyebrows. He then leaned forward just a bit, like he couldn't risk not hearing what revelation Jeremy was going to bestow on him. Making yourself miserable if you don't have to be. Oh. If you and the rest of the people here have a way to enjoy existence, then you should go ahead and do that. Stay gentle and happy. dumb eyebrow guy. Stay gentle and happy, dumb eyebrow guy.
You have my approval.
That's actually not a bad advice, actually, Jeremy. That's not bad. You have my approval if that's what you wanted. I hope you all have wonderful lives and suffer as little as possible. Thanks, Jeremy. Bye. Wow. The word tumbled out softly. Cove was earnestly amazed by Jeremy's words.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. I think we're done with you. And you know what's not going to make you stay happy? What? Talking to a downer like me. So really, you should end this conversation right now and none of you should ever call me again for the rest of your lives. Okay. That sounds good. Can I hang up already? Oh, wait, Jeremy, I can never call you again? Shut up, Shiloh. Unfazed, Shiloh laughed at the tilt of his head. Building something good up only to try undercutting it. That's the Jeremy I know. Sorry. Oh, wow, he actually has a smile now. Look, he actually is smiling. I never saw him smile as a kid. I'm actually seeing him smile as an adult. That's cool. See what a difference a smile makes? The word dripped with sarcasm and was accompanied by a smirk. It was the first time you saw him smile this entire time. Cove piped up meekly, an awkward smile of his own on his face. Maybe my opinion is totally skewed because I'm comparing things now to how Jeremy used to be, but I mean, you don't seem that bad. What? Cove needed to look away from Jeremy's painfully sharp eyes to finish his thought.
I mean,
I'd probably be okay with talking to you again. Come on, you can have standards. I want to keep talking to Jeremy too. Yeah, Cove, he's pretty cute. I'd be fine with ending this call now. I don't think he is that bad. He had no comment. I admit he's not that bad. I do think he is that bad. No, I don't believe that. I don't really have anything to say to this conversation. It was awkward. Jeremy seemed fixed on escaping having to speak to any of you again, so why push it? But he still hadn't hung up again, and he could have. Well, this is a good enough start.
Good. Now
that we're so much closer to this Jeremy kid, I think we can all get along together and be friends. Friends? Jeremy repeated the word back like it was a foreign phrase. He generally seemed to understand. That's right. If we keep working on it, I don't see why the five of us can't be friends. He stared at Liz incredulously for several moments. Her expression twisted into fresh confusion of her own. I totally ship Liz and Jeremy now. I totally ship them. Okay, 3 things. First, I already have one whole friend, and that's more than enough. Second, I still don't know who you are. Did you even say your name at any point? And most importantly, third, one of the people in this friendship is Shiloh Fields. He and I aren't going to be friends. Why not? And I'm Liz, by the way. Because he's Shiloh. Our relationship is always as good as it's ever going to be. He mercifully leaves me most of the time, and on the weird occasion where he needs something, leaves me be most of the time. And on the weird occasion where he needs something, I just get it over with. Then he goes away again, and I have a modicum of peace. You know how it works, right? You're in it with me. We have the best arrangement possible with the way it is. Jeremy looked to Shiloh seriously to back up the validity of their relationship, but Shiloh shook his head with a laugh. I don't try to hang around too much, but that's because you're shy. You're the only one who thinks that setup is actually a good idea. Sorry. Jeremy turned his face to the side and to let out another exaggerated sigh. Cove and Liz both joined on Shiloh's mirth. Jeremy got no support. Of course you'd say that. Why did I even bother? That's Shiloh's famous memory for you. Liz's chuckling stopped. Wait, what does that mean? Shiloh's famous memory. What? Whatever. Basically, Shiloh annoyingly remembers everything that happens for all of eternity. At least until some piece of info he has isn't helpful anymore, or he's got explaining to do. Then magically, all of a sudden, he doesn't know anything about it. Oh, is that what happened to us? Is that why he forgot all about us? His boldly inconsistent recollection of situations is pretty much a running joke. It's Shiloh's shtick. One of them, anyway. A scowl dug into Liz's face as Jeremy spoke. Cove lost his smile seeing the reaction. Shiloh remained silent, with his big childlike eyes locked on your sister. Jeremy began to shrink away from the screen at the changing atmosphere. He broke eye contact with everyone. I'm guessing he didn't mention that. No, he didn't. And he said he forgot something to you? I do recall him saying a little thing like that. Sorry. But, well, apparently you had the pleasure of meeting Nate. You know me. And I talked a bit about Pran and, Everett, too. We're all in that unbearable group, and we're all unbearable people. What an amazing coincidence, huh? What we're about is kind of hard to hide. I'm gonna go now. I don't want to be the fifth wheel to your own little group. You three people have a good day, I guess. And Shiloh, I'll see you back at school.
Bye.
Bye. Jeremy promptly ended the call. Just as people had begun to warm up to him, he accidentally found a new way to ice the mood again. Shiloh, now averting his own gaze, put his phone away and chuckled. I'm sure that Jeremy can be a decent person. I'm sure he can. But he's so exhausting. He's such an exhausting person. Which is... I don't mind... The thing is, he definitely is better now than he was before, but he's still exhausting. And once he actually, has left, I feel like I can take a breath again. That's the thing. I feel like I'm holding my breath the whole time while I'm interacting with him when he's around. Shiloh, now averting his own gaze, put his phone away and chuckled.
So...
I knew that Jeremy didn't think highly of me, but it's even worse than I thought. That's really sad. Shiloh. Their firm tone immediately brought Shiloh's focus back on her. Once she got his attention, however, Liz's voice became small. When we first met you in the city, did you know who we were? Did you pretend not to recognize us? The two old friends watched each other for a beat, but ultimately Shiloh closed his eyes with a lopsided smile. Aw, Lizzie, you gotta know I could never really forget you. Liz was speechless, but it wasn't quiet. Cove couldn't stop himself from shouting out. He didn't really answer your question yet, Liz. That's not an answer. Oh my god, you were lying to them? Lying is a strong word. I was, improvising. That was cruel, Shiloh. Yeah, that makes way more sense than you not figuring it out. You didn't really mind, but you were instead concerned about why he felt that was the best option. You are crazy and a liar. You smirked and thought Shiloh was pretty bold. You don't have an idea what to say. I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it. That was cruel, Shiloh. Frowning, you crossed your arms and waited. He hurt your feelings, and he continued to hurt you by not even acknowledging that you spoke. That entire conversation where you found each other again was all a lie. The thought of it made your chest tighten and your heart feel heavy. Go home, Shiloh, or go to my house and wait there until we can send you home.
All right.
Okay. With his shoulder dipped and head low, Shiloh immediately left the park alone. After he disappeared up the road, Liz sat her butt down right onto the sand with no concern for how dirty her dress might get this time. You went after Shiloh to confront him. You went after Shiloh just to talk to him. You crushed on his sister. I'm going after Shiloh to talk to him. Watch, Liz. I'll be back.
What?
What? You didn't give him an explanation. You just shot out of the park after Shiloh. You caught up with him on your neighborhood street. He must have noticed your footsteps because he was standing still in the middle of the road, waiting. I can always help Liz out later, because I still can see her after Shiloh's gone. But Shiloh, I only have this small window of opportunity with him, so I have to prioritize talking with Shiloh over Liz in this moment, under these circumstances. You couldn't read his expression, and he didn't say anything. I want to talk. He smiled while fiddling with the rim of his hat. We will, later. Thanks for trying. Can I at least tell him I had a crush on him? No, I wouldn't do that. Not when I'm with Cove. I wouldn't do that. But playfully, me the player wants Vaughn to do that just because. I'm just curious what would happen. And that was it. He turned his back on you, continuing his walk of shame. He wanted to wait, like Liz asked. Even after all this time, he'd listen to her. There was nothing you could do. You left him there to rejoin the others at the park. Cove seemed concerned for you in your ride, but you quickly reassured him when you sat down. He nodded and gave you space by your sister. She hadn't moved from where you had first left her. However, your presence caused her to stir. You can go. We're done. Cove shared an unsure look with you. She wanted to be alone, but this wasn't the time for that. We're not going anywhere. Accepting that you were going to be here for this, she let out a groan. At the same time, Liz pulled the sides of her hat down, gripping it tightly in frustration. I can't believe he pretended he didn't know us. Since when was Shiloh too good to catch up with acquaintances? It's infuriating. Am I an idiot for thinking we could talk? You wrapped your arms around her. You leaned against her. You took her arm. You watched her cautiously. Liz's hat remained pulled down, which made things difficult. No, you're not an idiot. He's the idiot. Shiloh lied to us. That's not your fault. No, you're smart and talented and amazing. Liz, I'm so sorry. Shiloh lied to us. That's not your fault. Seriously, he's a tool.
Fine.
I know I shouldn't care. It doesn't matter if one person doesn't want to be my bestie. He's not the greatest man on earth. I'll be fine. But I brought him here all the way from the other side of the state, and I didn't even know why he did any of this. Maybe you should let him talk about it. I kind of want to actually let Shiloh explain a bit more. Now, granted, he didn't volunteer that information because Jeremy kind of outed him. But now that it's out, I want to give Shiloh a chance to give his side of the story. I want to know his side of the story. Liz finally removed her hands from the brim of her hat in order to rub it at her temples instead. It blows. Cove snorted some nervous laughter at her unexpected phrasing. She didn't mind it. It's true, but you'll always have me. Say the word and I'll force the answers out of him. I bet he's just intimidated by successful women. Liz, if we ever see that guy again, I'll hurl him into the ocean. No. I don't feel any of this for Shiloh. I still feel like there's more to this story. There is more to this story. We'll have so much fun without him. He has no idea what we're missing on. I'm here for you, Liz, through thick and thin, no matter what. What if I just said... No, you're not an idiot. He's the idiot. Shiloh lied to us. That's not your fault. I'm gonna say no, you're not an idiot. Yeah, Shiloh's a tool.
Fine.
I know I shouldn't care. Okay. It blows. I bet he's just intimidated by successful women.
Thank you.
Thanks, baby brother. I love you. I love you too. I love you too. And what is family for? Well, I thought it was for hogging the phone while growing up, but this works. She released you with a shaky, self-impressed laugh. Oh, and thank you too, Cove, for being around. We're going to officially be family one day, right? She shot him a wry smile and he tensed up, face going red. He was willing to take her teasing as if it made her feel better. Don't mention it. Good. Liz rested her eyes after those last couple words. It eased her heart to see her feel better. Cove let out a soft sigh of relief. Hey. Cove then brought his face close to yours so he could speak in a whisper.
Are you okay?
Are you okay? I know Liz was his best friend, but you knew him too, and you were there when he did this whole pretend improvisation act. Don't worry about me. I'm okay. I'm sad. I'm furious. I don't know how to feel. He didn't say anything. No, I'm sad. I'm sad. I'm sorry. He doesn't deserve to be gone for 10 years and suddenly mess with everybody's emotions. No. That's not what I mean by I'm sad. I'm furious. I don't know how I feel. You didn't say anything. I'm okay. Then I'm glad. He doesn't deserve to be gone for 10 years and suddenly mess with everybody's emotions. No. None of this. I don't know how I feel. I'm gonna say I don't know how I feel. That makes sense. I feel like he doesn't deserve to be gone for 10 years and suddenly mess with everybody's... Now Cove says this. You don't know what this kid's going through. None of you know what this kid's... I'm on Team Shiloh right now just because I need to find out what's going on with him. There is more to this. There is more to this than our side. Excuse me. I want to know his side of things. He quickly figured out you weren't up for speaking on it. He smiled softly. You gave him a brief nod. That's the best one so far. Don't worry about me.
No way.
You know that's impossible. I know. Thanks for asking. You're welcome. Cove ended his checkup by reaching over to pat you on the shoulder reassuringly. That's the best result, but none of this. I kind of wish that there was an option for me to seem a little bit more curious about Shiloh's side of things. That's why I wanted to talk to him, but the game didn't give me an opportunity to talk to him, or he didn't give me an opportunity to talk to him yet. But he did say we'll talk later, so I'm waiting for that. Your longtime neighborhood group sat together quietly in the sand, just enjoying the feeling of familiarity and support. You weren't entirely sure how much time passed, but you were eventually caught off guard by a soft call in the distance. In unison, the three of you turned your heads to the sound, and there, standing at the edge of the playground, was Shiloh himself. He waved. You moved in front of Liz protectively. You huddled closer to Liz. You huddled closer to Cove nervously. You flipped him off. You froze in place. Why isn't there Ike approached him? I would not do any of these things. You flipped him off. You froze in place. You simply waited there. I'm just gonna simply wait there. You wanted to give him a chance. Exactly! I want to give him a chance! You got a lot of nerve, Shiloh. It's a good thing your name is Fields, because I'm going to put you in the ground. No one wants you here. None of this is what I want to say. Do you have something to say? I'll punch you in the face. You didn't speak. Do you have something to say? I want to know what the tone of this is. You didn't speak. Do you have something to... I'll say, do you have something to say? What's that? I couldn't hear you from over here, but don't get up on my account. I'll come to you. No. None of this is what I want to say. I'll say you didn't speak. Did you say something? I couldn't hear you from over there, but don't get up onto my account. I'll come to you. What? You knew no one had actually spoken, and Shiloh almost certainly did too. Shiloh approached with easy strides as if he had been welcomed. You were floored with how much confidence or shamelessness the boy was apparently capable of now. I think he just forgot. I think he forgot. I think the whole forgetful thing is actually true to some degree. Even if he did pretend that he forgot us before, that doesn't mean that he doesn't have that memory issue. And it could very well be, I think what actually happened is he actually did genuinely forget us. He did actually have memory problems. And the lie is that he lied. The lie is that he lied. That's my guess. Liz turned her face and refused to acknowledge what was happening. She might have been trying to think happy thoughts and wish Shiloh's presence away. Unfortunately, it didn't work. When Shiloh arrived, he plopped down to the sand with the rest of you, his legs folded crisscross. Hi! Get lost, Shiloh. I will, in just a minute. What do you want now? Well, I figured you'd want to talk to me after you'd had some space. I ought to let you do that, even if you're going to yell at me. Liz finally faced him to be free to snap at Shiloh with full force. And why in the world would you think that? Unfazed, Shiloh looked back at her softly. You haven't changed that much, Lizzie. You're the one who found me online when I brushed you off earlier this summer. When have you ever preferred leaving something unresolved in the end? He's got you there, Liz. You didn't even get a chance to make me explain why I did it. I bet you're dying to do that. Exactly! That's why I was like, no, Vaughn is not angry. Like, he's sad that Liz is upset and Cove is upset, but I don't think Vaughn is upset at Shiloh. I don't even think Vaughn's mad at Shiloh. I think that whatever issue there is, it's not 100% Shiloh's fault. I feel like Shiloh can't help. I think he needs help, and I think that's why he's at that school. I think there's something about Shiloh that it's not 100%. Something about him I think is off, and it's not his fault necessarily. You didn't even get a chance to make me explain why I did it. Liz ground her teeth, quietly fuming. Shiloh had called it right, and that sucked for her. Yeah, this is how I've been feeling the whole time, and the game needs to let me feel that way. Fine, I'll bite. Give me your excuses. Well, mostly it was really bad timing. I could have handled it a lot better if I had known I was going to see you that day, and if there wasn't a self-appointed hall monitor dutifully watching every move people made. And a hi, good to see you, gotta go was simply too much for your little heart to... And a hi, good to see you, gotta go was simply too much for your little heart to manage. Of course, the goal was to keep as much distance as possible. Admitting I was the guy you knew wouldn't have been helpful. I believe him. And you can't stand us, and me trying to reconnect was just a huge pain for you after all. Amazing, wonderful, thank you so much for saying so. Now, Liz, that's not fair. That's not fair. You're putting words in his mouth. Liz, if you really want to get some resolution, if you really want to get to the bottom of this, then you need to let the man speak, okay? You need to let the man give his explanation. You can decide if you accept it or not. You can decide if you accept his apology or not, even if he even apologizes. I don't know. But the only way that this can be left completed and done is resolved is if you shut your mouth and let the man speak, Liz. That's all I gotta say. Shut your mouth and listen, because that's the only way that you're gonna get past this and be able to move on and heal. No, that's not it. Don't feel bad though. You're almost never wrong. Your older sister's brow twitched as she stared at Shiloh in tired disbelief. He smiled back at her brightly. I did it so this wouldn't happen. What? I dealt with that situation the way I always do, saying stuff I didn't exactly mean because it's just easier that way. You heard Jeremy. It's what I'm known for. Sure, right now you're mad that I pretended not to remember you, but if I hadn't done that, it would have been something else later on and we'd have ended up here still. Liz's anger became more and more difficult for her to maintain. It was soon replaced with a sad confusion. Then don't do that. Don't be like that. Why not be someone you're actually okay showing me? Shiloh chuckled uncomfortably and searched for a way to explain himself to his former idol. I wouldn't have made you sad if I could have avoided it. I mean that. I thought I could at least finish this visit without issues. Jeremy wasn't someone I expected to call me out. That's pointless to him usually. But I'm not going to be someone whose personality revolves around making you happy. I think that is a very fine thing, Shiloh. I'm not going to be someone whose personality revolves around making you happy. I agree. Even though Liz is my sister and she's upset and she's hurting right now and she's very confused and has a multitude of emotions, I don't disagree with Shiloh. I do not disagree with this sentence that Shiloh is giving. I don't think anyone's personality should revolve around making you happy. This is not going to be a very popular opinion. As a married person, I love my husband. I love my children. And of course, I want my husband and my children to be happy. But I don't think it's right for my personality to revolve around always trying to make my husband and my kids and my family happy, because that is not healthy. That's not healthy. It's not right for me, and it ultimately is not right for them or the family, because I don't want them to do that either. I don't want my husband and my spouse's personality to revolve around making me happy all the time. I don't want my kids, personality to revolve around making me happy, because they're not going to, and I have to accept that. So I want to make them happy, but my personality should not revolve around it 24/7. And I think that's what Shiloh is trying to say. No matter how much I follow others, it wasn't for them. Every decision was mine. I couldn't be in charge, so being a sidekick to the best option was something I did for my sake. I'm not saying that the way that Shiloh handled it was the best way. I'm not saying the way that Shiloh handled it was the optimal or most effective way. But it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense to me why he's doing what he's doing. It sucks for us. It sucks for Liz. But it's not necessarily about her, it's not necessarily about her. Shiloh's got issues. He's got issues. And I understand those issues. I chose to let people be the boss when it's what I need, and I choose where to stop it. And the best I can do for you now is spare you from dealing with it. I'm not as earnest as you are. I'm not as nice as you are. I was always like that, even as a kid. Back then I wanted to fit in, even if it meant excluding someone else. If they were the odd one out, that'd mean I wasn't. I can see that because there were definitely times when Vaughn was trying to bond with Shiloh. I remember this specifically. There were times when Vaughn was trying to bond with Shiloh, and Shiloh kind of for a moment blew him off because he was idolizing Liz and wanted to spend time with Liz. Totally saw that. So everything Shiloh is saying makes perfect sense. Finding my place here got harder when Cove moved in. It was a good thing for everybody that I ended up moving myself soon after that. I don't agree. I really am very curious what things would have been like if Shiloh stuck around. Because I'm very curious. You were speechless. That's horrible. I knew it. I was sure you weren't being honest back then. You felt bad for hearing that. Huh, okay then. You don't want to say it out loud, but you all always suspected that. You felt bad for him hearing that. It sounded like he struggled to develop relationships and you wondered why he ended up that way. I knew that's essentially how you were back then. You were a scaredy cat. You wanted someone to defend you.
Jeez!
I simply imagined that in the past 10 years you grew out of that and learned how to speak to others like, I don't know, an actual grown-up human being. Well, in my defense, I'm not an adult yet. I won't I won't be 18 until later this year in October. Okay, so he's 17.